Hey everyone, and welcome to Eternal Mooncast, the streaming show all about Sailor Moon fan theories. From the Moon Kingdom to the Negaverse to your homes, we're still working on a tagline. I'm your host Michi, and my co-host Selene, and we're here for a special duo host episode.
But first, before we delve into everything, we'd like to give you a quick Moonie disclaimer. We'd like to remind everyone that these are just our personal opinions. We in no way represent Toei or the Sailor Moon intellectual property. We invite you to join us when we live stream on Twitch and join our Discord discussions as we delve into our topic for tonight. And it is the power of love and friendship, which is a huge factor in Sailor Moon. That's what it's all about.
Just a tad, just a little bit of theming.
It's not like she's like, with the power and love of friendship, I'm going to defeat you like every single time she fights someone.
I was going to say, isn't it even it's in her tagline, I think. If it's in the name of the moon, I'll punish you. And
it's in a different tagline. She says it a lot.
Okay, I'm pretty sure because I know you're the more moon expert.
The pretty guardian in the sailor suit with the power of love and friendship, so on and so forth. Like a very big theme throughout the entire thing. That is literally why this manga even came to life, was the power of love and friendship. There was an article I was reading about. She essentially went through her school years, and she, like I said, she was obsessed. She still is a huge manga reader. Like, she still buys manga to this day. And she was anything she could get her hold of, especially with shoujo. She also had a love for, there was a shonen manga that had motorcycles. So there was a lot of motorcycle mangas coming out at that time. And this was during high school. She didn't have a desire to become a manga artist, but she wanted to draw. She actually drew manga to escape the stress of studying for her university exams.
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
So this artist she had no intentions of being a manga artist, gave us the most beautiful fucking art. And she literally was just trying to get through the stress of getting through all of her exams and stuff like that. And apparently she had submitted to Takayoshi Deluxe. She submitted them for funsies essentially. And this serial manga was getting more and more people. And she submitted it, and apparently the person in charge of the magazine reached out to her instantly. And they told her, keep on drawing. And she ended up debuting a manga called Love Call while she was a sophomore in the university.
That's cool.
So it's kind of the article was how she actually got into the stuff, what she was reading at the time. And she's a huge fan of Akira Kagami. And it was shoujo. It was a shoujo magazine called Uchi Apple Pie. And that's what she was reading. And that's where she kind of the whole cute girls things and cute outfits and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of where it started, which I think is interesting. But it does say she went to a co-ed university for girls. She joined hobby clubs. She would go out drinking and go to dance parties. She said she generally recalls being busy having fun.
Okay.
And yes, she was going for pharmacy. She went for pharmacology.
That's so funny. So she was busy having fun, but she wasn't necessarily making the connections with the girls that she wanted.
Yeah, she actually had a university. She had a job outside of university at a university hospital.
Oh, really?
And so it says the reason why she started drawing more was because she kind of she was I might be good at this, and she just started drawing more. So Sailor Moon, she probably had the sketches during college, but it was after college she actually wrote it.
That's really interesting. Yeah, and then I guess my article kind of piggyback off you because I know I sent this one to you, and it's about how it was the one I mentioned earlier, the girl talk with Sailor Moon, and it's actually girl talk with actual Naoko herself, which is a really cool kind of article because we really don't get this anymore. Like I've seen
Bro, her taste in men is hilarious because my article has her taste in men in it.
yeah.
And then I'm like, I see why she married her husband. I see now. And I also see where like Haruka came in.
Oh, okay.
Naoko Sensei has a thing for pathetic men. Can't take care of themselves, apparently. Because she thinks they're dark and broody.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, ma'am, continue with yours. But yeah, my article has that in there. And I was like, ma'am, please.
Oh my gosh. I think it's more, this first page is more about how Naoko made Sailor Moon. And then the second page goes more into about the characters. So I think this is more relevant to our episode tonight. It talks a lot about hero, about how Naoko really wanted to write heroes, which I think is really interesting. I was a regular college student and got a regular job and then started drawing. So I had quite a few normal students and OL friends. OL stands for office lady, and it's the typical term for working women in Japan, usually meaning secretary or other office workers. These days, women really have the upper hand in Japanese society, don't they? My friends and I would have chats about relationships or work, and we'd always conclude that we shouldn't depend on men. I think that women are actually stronger, and I want to draw Sailor Moon. And I wanted to draw that in Sailor Moon. Maybe that's why male characters die off so easily, she laughed.
And when this was happening, this was the time of big revolution for women in Japan. That independence and just being with friends, like they found satisfaction just being with friends. And they were fine. They were like, I don't need no man.
Yeah,
So that's an interesting thing. She like said that in an interview because
yeah, because
a lot of it's true today.
yeah, and she even continued. She said, "I wanted to be protected by a boy just like a normal girl, but there's no one good out there, and I can't find happiness. So I started thinking that you can't depend on men, and I got a little reckless. As a result, I may have made Sailor Moon like a strong hero type. I guess it is a weird manga."
Except it's not.
It's not. I think it was so different. I think it just shook everybody. And then relating back to friendship. Oh, here, this is might have been it. She was this is saying what she was a fan of article wise. Let's see. This is talking about Tuxedo Mask being broody. Didn't happen. But yeah, so
Well, it was also she made it so that Tuxedo Mask was kind of useless. It was the girls saving themselves.
yeah, yeah, because it was at a time where usually it was the Smurfette troop, I believe. And then the other article that I wanted to bring up that talks about Naoko and her friendships and like that type is the one that the other podcast, actually, the Anime Nostalgia podcast, because I thought it was interesting that they actually debunked the meme in a way. And what they share, because I thought Don H's take was really interesting. And they talk about the origin of the meme, and let's see. But it's saying that the quote is never sourced anywhere because it seems to be made up. The author says they were a suspicious fan of it, and it says Takeuchi about. And specifically, I found this part interesting. First, they say in the article, first of all, it is easy to find arguments that claim Takeuchi was a struggling artist. Just look up her name on Wikipedia. You can see not only did she have consistent and steady work at Kodansha almost as soon as she graduated from university to become a pharmacist, no less, like you said, but she'd also won several awards before she started working on Sailor Moon.
Doesn't mean she had money.
That's fair.
Manga artists don't make a lot of money,
That's
especially back then. The animes that have where they're like with the manga artists and they're a struggling artist, but they have a weekly serialization of their manga. Like they didn't pay well.
no.
I'm
No.
like, she probably was a struggling artist.
They do even say in the article, because this is actually, I will link this article in the, at least I know for sure on our YouTube, I will put it in the comments description. I will try to retweet out the article tonight on our Twitter. Any other ways you can think of, Selene, that would help to get the article out? But that way you can also see, because it's a great in-depth article, and I really appreciate that someone actually went hardcore into looking at this. But someone said that doesn't mean it's entirely fake. You might be thinking, sure, okay, that could be debatable. But they said about the part where Takeuchi was at a low place and had no friends. Let's see. Takeuchi is a notoriously shy and private person. She has, and this is a quote from the article, she hasn't given many interviews over the years, which means she's given a lot fewer interviews than most famous manga artists. However, I remembered back in 1996, she gave a rare interview, with An America magazine. That's actually the article that we were reading. And they actually take a different part of the article than what we were reading for their defense. And it said, I was a regular college student and got a regular job and started drawing. Oh, it's interesting. So they took the same sections and interpreted it differently than we did, because they, the same exact sections about being a regular college student and drawing and about having friends and close. My friends and I would have chats about the relationships, that part. And they say, not only does the statement seem to contradict the idea that she was struggling, she had a regular job on top of drawing manga, but it seems hard to believe she was in a low place with no friends when she boasts having regular chats with friends. It seemed like a pretty definitive answer.
But that doesn't mean she was mentally okay.
That's a good point.
She mentally could have been in a low place. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by friends and have a job and stuff like that. But also, she had a job at a university hospital. She was fresh out of college.
Oof, that's a tough part.
And manga artists don't make a lot. And who knows I don't know exactly where she was living, because if she was living in Tokyo, God forbid, she was paying out her backside to be able to live somewhere.
Yeah, and it's
So I think I go against that argument a little bit. Yes, they're pointing out certain factors, but you don't know where she was mentally. Maybe she was in a low place. Maybe she while she had friends, if those were office friends, that doesn't mean they're friends.
no. It's, I think, just a very interesting point of view that I wanted to bring up, because I like bringing other Moonies and other fans' point of views. And I thought the fact that Don H had put so much work into it for the Anime Nostalgia podcast, I thought it was really interesting. But I agree with you. And maybe that's just because of how we see Sailor Moon and like what it means to us. But truly, even if that quote is I think that friendship in Sailor Moon is the backbone and the reason for the show. Even if Naoko did have friends, okay. For example, once upon a time, I actually used to work for Disney World. Selene knows this, but our viewers might not. And I had a lot of friends, but I didn't have friends that I could connect with on nerdy culture in anime and that kind of thing. And while I really did cherish my friends at the time, and I'm still friends with some of them, it wasn't the same connection or the same type of connection like you have with certain people who have more interest, and you like it. Doing the nerdy stuff that I do, the cosplay, the conventions, the podcasting, all this, it's enabled me to find more people that I have things in common with, which I think is a really good segue into how friendship in Sailor Moon is really about how you connect with those similar and different from you.
Especially when Naoko was vehement, like going, I'm a manga nerd. Essentially, like, you tell me those office ladies were into all the mangas and stuff. She was reading about motorcycle, because she read both shoujo and shonen.
That's true.
Which is very interesting. So she had a lot of shonens that she loved, and she was into Super Sentai. Like, I guarantee you, she had a very hard time connecting on a different level with some of those office ladies. And I felt that too. Like, felt it like I work in an office environment. There's nobody who's like really into anime and stuff like that with me. I found like a couple of coworkers that like it, but it's not like how I like it.
Yeah, it's not
And
like
how obsessed I am. And I think that when I was reading that article, I had a very deep connection with what Naoko was saying. And this is probably why I love Sailor Moon so much. Sailor Moon is like everything. I have Sailor Moon everywhere. What she made connected me with so many people. And it was because she had this message of friendship and being together and girl power, essentially. Because tuxedo masks don't do shit. I'm sorry. That man's got like the smoking bomber one time and the bitch throws roses. All the floral shops are in panic anytime he walks by. So I think that was that was just a big point for me. And like I said, when I was reading my articles about like what she liked, I think she like I said, my arguing point to the meme is I think she was lonely. And even though she had a job, we don't know we don't know specifically where she was living at the time because we didn't look that far.
Yeah, didn't really have the time to.
No. So she could if she was living anywhere near Tokyo, which she probably was because she was going to university, she probably lived somewhere expensive. And even with a 1 bedroom, that's expensive.
That's work. A lot of work.
And she probably was near Tokyo or she was near another major city. I don't know if Kyoto has the publishing houses. She was wherever those publishing houses were. She was close to them because she didn't live in rural nowhere.
Yeah.
She went to a university hospital. That's where she worked. So she was somewhere that was probably very expensive to live.
Yes.
And she was making fresh out of college money.
Which is not great in any country.
And mind you, and this is the 90s.
Oh, that's true.
And if I remember correctly, the yen wasn't as strong until the 2000s.
I cannot comment.
I'm like that's my arguing point. Like, I think she wrote Sailor Moon wanting friends that were into the same things. Like, she wanted that deep connection that the girls have with her own friendship group. But I don't know. Who knows if she found it? I know she found it in her husband because he's a manga artist. And he's definitely like that dark, brooding, pathetic man that she seems to love. And I'm like, meow, please. Because they describe when she met him, like he was living in squalor.
What? Oh, yeah, I've heard. Aren't they like polar opposites?
Polar opposites. Like he lived in like a 1 bedroom, like little hole in the wall, and it was disgusting. Like she had to like sift through garbage to get to him. And I was like, ma'am.
Why?
And he was a smoker and a drinker and a manga artist at the time. And like she was helping him out because she worked for him at one point, and then she fell in love with him. I'm like,
Girl,
they're still married.
I know.
And she takes good care of him.
Yeah, true love.
So I just, like I said, it's very interesting. I think she's a very interesting character. She is very private. So yeah, I think she could have written it because she didn't have the close connecting friendship that she really wanted. And she reflected that inside Sailor Moon.
And to piggyback off that theory, I actually, while researching this episode, came up with kind of my own theory. What if Usagi's relationship with Naru or Molly is her relationship with how she saw the office ladies?
It is because you Naru fall off. Even
Yes.
in the show, Molly falls off. Naru / Molly like falls to the wayside, and Naru was her best friend.
Bestie for
Like
life.
it is said from the beginning that is her best friend. But once she meets the scouts, Naru kind of fades into the background with Umino. Like, she just kind of gradually is never in the manga again after the first like manga.
No,
We don't see her.
you even see it in Sailor Moon Crystal. I was watching Sailor Moon R whenever Chibiusa comes in, and Molly can tell Usagi's pulling away from her. She can't tell why, but she can feel Usagi pulling, and she feels like she's helpless, like she can't help her no matter what she does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think that's a good reflection on she doesn't actually connect with Naru anymore. Like she doesn't actually have the connection she thought.
So we're saying is that there's a disconnect. Usagi is a great example of how you can be friends with those that are different and the same. She falls off with Molly. She loses that connection in a way, but she maintains it because we do see her. She pops up from time to time in episode or in season 2 with trying to help with Rini. And then in season 3, whenever like the love parade or whatever contest that Haruka and Michiru beat her and Melvin in. You see them pop up, but you don't see them hanging out as much. I think it shows, and this is just pure speculation. These are just way out there fan theories. Welcome to the show. I think it shows how Naoko really saw this, the office and the science side of her life. She couldn't get that personal connection, but she still adored them for who they were and what they were about because she did treasure friendship. You can tell how much friendship means. How do you feel about how Usagi can be friends with basically anybody? But it's different levels, I'd say, of friendship with her for all the
I mean,
different characters.
I think that was her biggest strength and also her biggest weakness is she tries to find the good in everybody.
At the same time, we see that friendship with Naru and just kind of fall off. And especially Melvin becomes a footnote by season 3.
Oh yeah, they both do. They're no longer they're not the friends that from her past life and stuff like that. And it's kind of they kind of I think she also probably pulled away to not put them in danger because Naru already got into danger from the beginning. And she saw
Oh,
that happen. It's a big thing where, like I said, it's Usagi's strength and her weakness. She tries to see the good in everybody and tries to be friends with everybody. We see that constantly with
mhm.
her. See it more in the 90s, like anime series than you do the manga. Because in the manga's much darker.
The manga
Usagi
is
mostly tries to heal people, and it's mainly the scouts because we see that in Hotaru's arc.
mhm.
It is mainly involving the scouts. It involves like Chibiusas with Black Lady. It's healing people close to her. She doesn't try to friend the enemies like she does in the anime.
No.
Um, can you hear Stella? Okay. Put yourself to a big screen. Let me let her outside and see if it stops.
Okay. So while you guys are on with me, another great article that I would love to highlight just because I really like highlighting other Moonies' interest and what they were saying. There is an article called On Fandom and Friendships, The Enduring Legacy of Sailor Moon, and it is on Brown Geeks. And it is by Devika, and it was published August 6th, 2020. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. But I read this article and I thought it was one of the best breakdowns of friendship in Sailor Moon. Um, I thought I will also try to link this article. Hopefully, it's also on Twitter. But if not, I will also try to tweet out this one. But I thought it was really great because it breaks down female friendship and unique and diverse female characters and about duality and gender norms and appealing for the LGBT community and cross-cultural fandoms. But I thought one of the best parts was about the unique and diverse female characters. Because to quote the article, Katie Higgin, the voice of Sailor Mercury and Sailor Moon Crystal, agrees. She said, despite their contrasting personalities and differences, the Sailor soldiers built lasting bonds of trust, friendship, and teamwork. Sailor Moon subverts the importance given to cliques and surrounding yourself with people who are just like you. These kind of friendships can help you recognize how everything is connected and how connect with others. So yes, it's very interesting to be friends with someone who is obviously different from you, Higgins said. And the Sailor Moon celebrates these differences and recognizes that every girl is her own individual. Each of them has her own distinct set of traits that set her apart, and they're far from perfect. I think that it's just, and this is not part of the article, this is my thought. I think it's just so interesting how well said that is, how each girl is her own individual. You can't mistake any of the 10 scouts from each other. The article continued, "In no other character is this more important than protagonist Usagi," says LGBT activist and comedian Chris Bryant. Usagi's your average teenager, over-emotional, lazy, and selfish with a healthy interest in romance. It's only through her fantastical experiences alongside her band of true friends that she matures into a strong and independent young woman. So I think that article is just like beautifully says about how diversity, but also the connection can really bring a great, just just a great friendship, but also I think brings out the best in yourself when you're surrounded by friends who are supporting you. Uh, that's what I think really was well done on that article by Debunking and on Brown Geeks. And I thought it was just so well done because really friendship is a big part of the fandom, like it said in the title. Sailor Moon, I think, has endured because of how important that friendship is and legacy is to Sailor Moon. Without her friends, Usagi would be nowhere near as powerful and would not be able to call upon and defeat the enemies. We saw what happened when Queen Serenity stood alone to Queen Beryl and how disconnected it was. And it just wasn't, it showed how you could have all the power, and I say that in quotations, like, you could have all of the power, but you could have nothing at the same time because you don't have your friends to kind of fill in those puzzle pieces that you may be missing as a person, to put it in a metaphor. Loki says, well, a lot of villains try to separate the Senshi because they acknowledge the power in numbers. That is true. The more friends surrounding Sailor Moon, the more powerful she gets. And really, we don't see her reach her final form until we actually see her connecting with all of the Senshi on a deep level. Let's see. Again, in the article, on fandom and friendships, the enduring legacy of Sailor Moon, something else I thought was interesting under the female friendships for the win. As a result, the power of female bonding, of viewing other women as allies and not competition, was front and center in Sailor Moon, making it an affirmative influence on a generation of girls growing up with it. A lot of times, women are socialized to compete rather than to cooperate, which is not really our fault. It is a subset of the patriarchy and how we were all raised, but I think that's what's so revolutionary about Sailor Moon when it came out, says Sam Maggs, the creator behind the Captain Marvel comics and the author of The Unstoppable Wasp. The Sailor soldiers did not suffer from the Smurfette syndrome, says Maggs, which this is what I was quoting earlier for Smurfette syndrome was this article. That's when there's only one female and an all-male team. You can be a crybaby and be tough. You can enjoy cooking and be tough. They were all raised to be girls, but they were all supported each other, and that's when they were the most successful. So I think it says also a lot about how Sailor Moon, how she is the most successful only when she is with her friends. Yes, girl power. Exactly. And it's about how you're able to come together and empower each other. And it's and trust me, there's competition. And in the 90s, we do unfortunately get the competition where like it's Ray and Usagi trying to both go after Mamo. Oh, Selene is back. Welcome back. We were talking about the awesome article on Brown Geeks on fandom and friendship, the enduring legacy of Sailor Moon. And I was going over, we already went over the unique and diverse female characters, and we were going over their section on female friendship and about how a lot of times women are socialized to compete rather than to cooperate, and about how Sailor Moon all support each other, and that's when they're the most successful.
That was one of the things I pointed out about the 90s anime because compared to the manga, they actually pitted the girls against each other inside the 90s anime because you have Rei and Usagi fighting over Mamoru, and
That's
she dates Mamoru.
and I hate that. I hate that.
It's not in anything, guys. that is just the 90s anime, and they put a lot more conflict onto the friendships, which I find interesting, where we don't have that anywhere else in any of her media.
No.
But when you come to the 90s anime, you have this girls competing against each other, trying to outdo each other. I found it interesting when you read the manga that it's not in there, but then you have it in the 90s anime.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the timeline, though, because it was done by different people. It's very much the clique mentality of the 90s, but, like,
Also had a male editor.
did it? I didn't know that.
Also, most of the manga magazines at the time were run by men.
Oh,
And
okay.
or well, the anime studios, I should say, were run by men.
That's what I was gonna double check, yeah, because it would have
Um,
been
no, her editor was, Usa
yeah.
Osa was what she called him, Osapi, which is, by the way, Naru's mom's jewelry shop name.
Are you
That's what she called
serious?
him. He was the editor for the manga, and in the manga, like I said, you don't see that, but in the anime, and I'm wondering if it was the anime studio who were like, "Hey, we need more drama. Pit the girls against each other," which was a big thing in the 90s. You saw a lot of, cat fights and yeah, it's a 90s chick mentality that they did. Saw a lot of cat fights, going behind each other's back, the mean girls thing, and it's interesting because you don't see it as much anymore when you look at our media now. You're seeing more of them trying to put that girl power together. They still have a little bit of drama, but I think it was a very big 90s mentality of like, "Oh, when girls get together, they can fight." And I'm like, "Actually," but unfortunately because of that portrayal in the media, I feel that even when I was growing up, because of that mentality in the media, I felt that there was a lot more conflict in girls groups over stupid shit.
Mhm.
Like stuff that shouldn't have been like brought up. "Oh, you like the boy I like." Who gives a shit?
Yeah, 'cause it as I'm rereading the manga, I can't even tell where they would insert it. So heavily shoehorned into the 90s anime that it
Mhm.
doesn't even feel like it would flow in Crystal.
Correct. Like you don't see that. You don't see that negative aspect that they definitely drummed up inside of the 90s show. I mean, we look at it even with Mamoru and the way he acted, and it was very much a 90s mentality with how he even acted in the show.
But then back to friendship, mm, because I also wanna focus on the good aspects, because I think that there was a lot of good aspects to the friendship in Sailor Moon, especially about how friends helped Usagi grow into a better person. I think she developed a lot more as each scout was introduced into her life.
'Cause she was essentially almost a selfish character when you first meet her. Even though she's kind, she was very much secluded in the stuff that she did, secluded in her friend group. She doesn't go into like, when you first meet Ami, you don't see her get into Ami's gossip, thankfully, but there is gossip about Ami. She actually, like, goes out of her way to actually introduce herself to Ami,
Yes.
um, instead of speaking negatively. I think that's what's interesting about her always seeking to find a new friendship, and she definitely did that, like, no matter who you're gonna go see, you see Ami with her reaching out, with Ray because she thinks Ray is really pretty.
I love that that's
Like,
her main
she's
reason.
so beautiful, and she follows her off the bus to the temple, and she's like, "Wait, I got off at the wrong stop because she was so pretty, and I wanna be friends with her
Honestly, girl, what a
because she's
mood.
so pretty."
What a mood.
Even with Makoto, it was, everybody was scared of Makoto except for Usagi. She was like, "Hey, your lunch looks delicious. Let's be friends." And I was like, "Big mood." Same way.
And then I think it's like it's especially that she never saw, I think, any of them as competition. I think she just saw them all as a potential friend, like a way that I don't wanna say that, like, a way that she can improve herself, but I feel like it was a it was like the inner calling and that inner connection, because Usagi has the power to bring people together.
Call her they that there's a reason she's, like, referred to as the light of hope.
That's
because
true.
that's what she does. She brings everyone together. She doesn't understand when scouts don't get along. That doesn't make sense to her, and that's one of her biggest heartbreaks is when she sees people, especially the scout side of things, that they're not instantly friends. That's why she had such a hard time even with Ichiru and Haruka with their attitudes towards it. She was like, "But we're all scouts. Why aren't we friends? I don't understand."
That's a good point because they do act like that for the longest time. She's just like, "Does not compute. Like, we besties. Why are we not besties? We're all Sailor Scouts." Though, do you remember that Toonami commercial where it was like, and for some reason, and they had the tag like, "Oh my god, how many of those are there?" That Toonami commercial will live rent free in my head forever.
The Toonami voice actresses will live rent free in my head forever. That was the more shrill Usagi.
Yes.
So,
Oh my gosh. About the found family aspect of friendship in Sailor Moon. How do you feel about that?
Usagi finds her family with all of them. I mean, I think we have to look at the fact that they are supposed to be reincarnated. They get their memories. They were pretty much her and the inner scouts were family. And the outer scouts, because the outer scouts were on their planet or on the time door or asleep because Saturn's not allowed to be around.
No, stuck on a space rock without their girlfriends.
So I think it's interesting that I feel like Usagi and them, while they have that closeness of it, they don't actually let it affect how they actually feel in the present time. And she finds her family with the inner scouts, but also the outer scouts she starts making family with.
Yeah.
Now there are two family groups essentially. It is the inners and the outers. That's still a thing. But however, Usagi kind of bridges it a little bit more because she tries to include the outer scouts. They're not running off onto their own mansions to go raise a child that Usagi has walked out of the darkness with.
Yes.
Because the outers very much, they're their own found family. They, Haruka is Papa and Michiru is Mama, and so is Setsuna Mama to Hotaru. They make their own family. And they're very closely knit outers. So they separate themselves from this friendship group. So you don't see the whole family unit connect, and it's the outer's fault. They continue to separate themselves.
Yeah.
Even though Doggy has held out her hand and said, "Please stay with us." And it's because it's Haruka and Michiru running the show.
Oh, yeah.
Tsuna's just along for the ride.
It's like, this is my family, and I go where they go.
She is their asexual partner in crime. She is just there to have a good time and probably eat good food because she's been on that time door forever. So interesting how, because in the manga it's still the same thing, that friendship, even though Usagi tries to create it, like they are friends and they believe in their princess.
Yeah.
But the outer scouts never get as close to Usagi as the inner scouts, and it is because they distance themselves. They do not take the extended olive branch to be let, which I find interesting, and you don't really get any explanation why. It's just they're following, unfortunately, it's the outers following their past lives.
Yeah.
Where the inners are trying to let go of that and live in the present, where the outers, they're like, "No, we're supposed to be solitary."
I feel okay. We can continue your thought because then I have feelings.
Still on their past lives where we're supposed to be separate from you. We're supposed to be the first line of defense. Where Usagi's like, "Bro, we're not in that anymore. We're living on Earth now. We've been reborn. You're not on high alert all the time." And there's also no indication of the outers in Crystal Tokyo.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions about, like, where are they?
And again, where's the friendship? Where's the family? Because I don't feel the outers allowed themselves to be included. I feel they separated themselves so much. Isagi tries. She tries and she tries. And you see that. And I find it so funny. And like when you get into the Stars arc, you've got Haruka looking at saying, hey, get the fuck away from her. And I'm like, Haruka, where have you been this entire time? Sir, ma'am, please sit down. So it's an interesting dynamic when it comes to the found family aspect, because Usagi does find her found family, and in the inners, she tries to include the outers, but the outers create their own found family together and kind of separate themselves from the inners. And you can clearly see the divide.
Okay. And here is my devil's advocate argument for why they do this, because I've thought about it. I think that they were so traumatized from Buns the First, sending them out to a rock by themselves. And by the way, we don't know what ages they were, because we thought Pluto was a child. Like, she could walk under a coffee table. That was a child. Like, I'm sorry. There is no way that I don't think that she did something to the poor outers being alone on their space rocks. So I think by the time that they got reborn, because we know now what happened to them thanks to Crystal in the manga, that they were there whenever they had to literally end the Moon Kingdom. Trauma on top of already being isolated trauma. I think by the time they got reborn and all of a sudden then they're seeing Buns, they're getting PTSD. Why should I trust you?
Yes and no, because Usagi didn't do anything. She was the sweet princess that they watched over from afar.
True, and they acted like they did like her in the manga. Oh wait, what did Loki say?
What if the outers got burned by Mama Serenity and the whole death of the Moon Kingdom, that they don't want to form the emotional connections?
Tiff, how?
I feel they don't want to create the emotional connections to their princess, because look what happened. Saturn almost ended everything again.
That's true, and they almost had to end Saturn to try to save everyone, and then they're taking a risk right there just by raising Saturn, knowing that they could have to reenact what?
After the Queen of Helenia bit, it does from what you kind of get the feel of, the outers are closer in Stars. Like they
Oh,
move
yeah.
themselves closer is what you kind of have a sense of, especially like I said, with Haruka pointing her nose into it and she's like, stay away from our princess. I'm like, sir, ma'am, calm down. You haven't been here for over a year. You don't know what's going on.
They got kicked out to be the Chibiusa show. You know it.
And I guess it's also interesting because you see there's also another friendship we haven't spoken about. And since you mentioned Chibiusa and Hotaru
That's an interesting
is
friendship.
a huge friendship. And they're very close. There's a reason why they're shipped together. Because there's a lot of art by Naoko of them together. They become very close friends. They make this friendship on their own during the Deathbusters arc. And it's Chibiusa who's like, please don't let my friend die. She's the only friend I've ever made. That's my age. It's 500 years old.
I was gonna say.
You also get a lot of the little arc that they do with Usagi.
Yeah.
Who's going to school together? Chibiusa and Hotaru. They're in high school together.
That's right.
And they are walking to school together because they are BFFs.
Yes. Yeah, no, like, I think that's why they get shipped so often. It's because we do see them together, like, all of the time.
And you even like in the anime. And this is during that bit between Nehelenia and Stars. And it's when they're doing the whole battle with Nehelenia when Galaxia revives her. Saturn is with Chibiusa and defends her. Like, she's the one doing like the silence wall and she's defending her like really hard. Like, she is acting like one of the inners would for Usagi with Chibiusa. So I actually like, they're one of my favorite friendships actually in the manga, even in the anime, because they do actually perpetuate that close friendship that those two are supposed to have.
Interesting.
But then they don't show Saturn in the future, and I'm like,
Which
except
doesn't
for
make
the Usagi thing, which is we don't know if it's actually supposed to be like part of the actual realm or if it's just like a random fever dream for the realm? We don't know.
Yeah.
If Kousagi actually happens. It is literally one of the side stories. But you see them together there, but like I guess you don't see them together because they wrote Crystal Tokyo before they brought in the Outers.
Yes, that's kind of like, eh.
So I mean, she could have. And Loki brings up a good point. Loki says, I think the friendship is the reason Earth wasn't yeeted off space, and also the reason Usagi was more inclined to save Hotaru.
I can see that. I could definitely see that.
Usagi kind of sees their friendship and how close Chibiusa is getting because Chibiusa is finally like interacting with someone her own age,
Mm.
someone who likes the same thing she does. I think that was really big for Chibiusa because we're talking about friendships. You don't see that Chibiusa has any friendships, and this is one of the reasons she became Black Lady. She had no friends.
The lack of friendship. Oh, Naoko literally showed an embodiment of the lack of friendship.
Yeah, in Chibiusa because of her flashbacks. Like she had no friends. She had the scouts.
That's
Growing
it.
up, she had her mom, her dad, and the scouts. And sometimes she would talk to the shiny rocks that her dad kept.
The pocket rocks. I love
She
them.
would talk to the pocket rocks. Also, Chibiusa fucked up the timeline, so the Neo Tokyo we see is likely not our Neo Tokyo.
More
Could be.
than likely.
Like we mentioned in another episode, I think she may have like DBZ Trunks it, where her timeline is completely different than the timeline she likes to visit. Because Trunks actually like pretty much like the future Trunks
Yeah.
comes to live into the other timeline he created by fixing things.
Oh, so you think that's what she did?
Yeah, I think she may have like created a completely separate timeline. And that's why she keeps going back. Because I guarantee you that her mom is like, I don't remember any of this shit. You did something because I never met you in my other life. You can keep going back and get trained there. Because you're not going to fuck anything up here, essentially. Back to friendship. Like I said, I think it's very sweet that like even Chibiusa gets a friendship inside
Usagi.
outside of the scouts.
Oh,
He gets
okay.
someone who is like her friend. Like Hotaru is her friend. Like they do stuff together. And that is like that's why there's so much art with them doing stuff together, like and ending cute outfits.
And didn't they do a couple artwork just of
Oh
them?
yeah, there's tons of artworks, and Hotaru and Chibiusa are always next to each other.
Yes.
And it's so funny because of Chibiusa's friendship. Like there's one that's from the show,
That's from
that's from the 90s.
Yep, and then Crystal, they kept or no, that's not right. Uh, there we go. Like, they kept it very similar. Aw.
The thing is, that's why Chibiusa is always grouped with the Outers, is because she finds her friendship in Hotaru, and since
Mhm.
Hotaru is raised by the Outers, that's what they do. They don't normally include Chibiusa with the Inners if the Outers are in a picture for fan art. For not fan art, for Naoko's work.
And that just shows how important friendship is, I think, to Naoko. So, this is the movie that I think best exemplifies the friendship in Sailor Moon, and it's the Sailor Moon S movie. So, we'll do what we normally do, which is just talk over commentary. But I think it's really interesting here how you can kind of see just the exemplified version of all the inners and the outers friendship, because it starts out with Usagi and Chibiusa with Luna, and then you bring in the inners and Artemis.
Which makes sense since Chibiusa still lives with Usagi.
Yeah. So I think it's really fun, like how and this is without Hotaru. Hotaru, I don't think is in this movie.
No, because does she get awakened in this movie? No, because she doesn't get awakened until
Third season.
the mirror dancers, not the snow dancers.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the second one. But I just think it's so fun that you get to see them shopping. You get to see them trying on clothes together, giving fashion opinions, getting tired over textbooks, playing arcade games. This is the most epitome of friendship to me, like of like just normal friendship.
And then they meet up with the Outers.
And then of course Usagi is stuffing her face.
Big mood.
What a mood, honestly. Like, savory and sweet.
A champion of justice.
Champion of justice and snacks. We love it. I always just thought that intro was really cute way of showing how they all come together. Except Hotaru. Rest in peace, poor Hotaru.
I think she might be a baby still at that point then, and they probably left her with a babysitter.
That's fair, because you gotta have mom's time out, right?
Yeah, because I don't even think, okay, because I mean, for the Ice Queen, the because that's the Ice Queen episode, right?
Yes, that's the Ice
That's
Queen.
the Outers don't go against the Ice Queen.
Yeah, they do.
They're not on the Meteor.
No, you're confusing
Wait.
movies.
I'm crossing movies.
You're crossing. It's very difficult to find clips of Sailor Moon. It is like one of the hardest things, which is why we're actually going to do a dedicated Moody month. And that'll be coming up later on in the year. But it is so dang hard. Thank you to all of the Moonies who work so hard to make sure that there are clips out there. I really appreciate you. Okay, I found it, I think. It is right before they turn silver. But it is after they attack the first round. Which also, just shout out to the 90s music team. They just deserve all the awards. I think that it's this section.
The world is stop moving. Isn't beautiful? Not on my watch. Come on, we have to protect her. The power of love and friendship, known as silver crystal, melted the darkness and saves the earth. That's it. The power of love and friendship is the key to her. It's the silver crystal power. Sailor Chibiusa, go protect Sailor Moon with the others.
Okay, but what do you think? So that's why I wanted to bring it up, because in the deep dub, I feel like they said it more about friendship. I feel like it was something more like, gosh, what was it? It was something, it was like the good times and the bad times and appreciation and about how.
The Deke version of Sailor Moon kind of summed up the whole girl friendship a lot. Sailor Moon Says was a big factor in showing that. Sailor Moon Says, like, after she had a fight, she'd be like, "We had a fight, but that's okay because we're still friends."
But the power.
I believe the Deke dub probably drummed it up a lot more. I'm gonna be honest. I'm pretty sure even that dub drummed it up more than the Japanese. I would love to see what the Japanese actually says.
Oh man. Yeah.
I don't, because I've watched it in Japanese and I don't feel they emphasize that as much with the whole, like, the power of friendship is what ignited the silver crystal and helped it melt the earth. I don't think it did that as much as they did it for the English version.
You think that they, like, for some reason in the English version really, like, hammered it home?
They did. They always did. Like I said, Deke version tended to drum that stuff up just a little bit more than the Japanese versions did, and that was their whole thing. That was what Sailor Moon was supposed to be about. That's how they advertised Sailor Moon. That's why they did Sailor Moon Says and all the stuff about friendship that they would put in there.
Yes.
So that speech is very, very much in English, I feel like, because they push that power of friendship a lot more. I mean, they had a song called Power of Friendship or The Power of Love, and that was all about the friendship.
Yeah, you got to believe.
Yeah. And The Power of Love is all about the friendship. They've got several of the English, there's 3 songs all together, and they're all about, like, friends coming together, that the friendship is the power that's gonna take down the Negaverse and bring the light, get rid of the evil. So you don't see that in the Japanese.
Yeah.
She, like, even with the fight with Beryl in the English version, you have much more.
That's what I was trying to think of, because I feel like it might have been the third movie speech.
It might be
The
because
movie's
of Chibiusa being trapped.
That's definitely third movie.
What's that? Like in the English version, when you have the fight with Beryl, you've got the scouts coming to help and the flashbacks. If I remember correctly, the flashbacks with her and the scouts is an English thing.
Really?
I don't believe that is actually in. I think that's an English cut.
Ooh.
With her they're going Serena, don't leave us out. We'll be mad at you.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the Japanese, if I remember correctly. Because, I mean, they even cut the fight with the Doom and Gloom girls.
That's true.
That was a little bit, that was displayed a lot more differently. They also cut out Usagi sitting in the snow with
Mm.
Beryl. Because she literally sits in the snow and is going to give up.
That's
And
true.
that's when the scouts tell her to get up.
Mhm.
So you can see, I think you see ghosts of the scouts telling her to get up.
I don't remember because it was cut in the version I watched the most.
Yeah, I would have to go back and watch like the uncut Sailor Moon that I've got upstairs.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's Michi. I hope you guys all had a good break. Joining us, of course, next will be my amazing co-host with her segment on the Moonie News. Take it away, Selene.
Good evening. Reports say that florists are starting to bar their doors from a mysterious man stealing roses and then throwing them on the streets. I'm just kidding. For our Moonie News, we've actually got some cool things that have actually released this week. These actually released a lot of stuff last week. There is, they released a stationery set for the new, for the new Sanrio line. Unfortunately, I
Ooh.
can't get a really good picture on it. It is very small
Boo.
and does not show well. They're going to be doing a stationery set for the new Slumber Party event that they're doing with Sailor Moon Sanrio. There's going to be memo pads. There's going to be little notebooks. From what I can see, there's stickers, there's washi tape, and looks like there's going to be some acrylic stands possibly that are coming out for that. And they just released that news yesterday for that one.
Awesome.
And it's going to be a collab with Sunstar Stationery Goods.
Oh, they've done that before because I have their Uranus and Neptune stamper from the same place.
Oh, let's see. Oh, I have a better picture.
It's your the first time that it's your official news segment.
All right, so we're gonna share. Okay. All right, so this is going to be. So this is a line that they had. This collab had actually been announced earlier this year or last. No, it was last year they had done it. But this is a new collab. This is the pajama party that they decided to do with the Sanrio characters and Sailor Scouts. And so this one's going to be a stationery set, which is really cool. You don't get a lot of stationery a lot of the times for the collabs. So this is super cute. As you can see, there's all these notebooks, and then they show the insides of them.
It's adorable.
And then these are letter sets, because writing letters is actually still a big thing over there.
So cute.
Memo pads.
Oh my gosh.
Those are super cute. Hold on one sec. These are some folders that they have. It's interesting how they do folders in Japan because usually they're not like, they have smaller pieces of paper. So they kind of have this, but also if it's a bigger piece of paper, it kind of sits in there to be kind of separated and organized. So these are the two folders they have. They've got one with the inners, one with the outers. And like we were talking about earlier in the episode, Chibiusa tends to be put with the outers when it comes to groupings.
Yes, which is such like a cool now like insight where you see that to think about why it is.
And then I think these are like notebook tabs that they have. Unfortunately, I can't read the Japanese. I'm so sorry. These look like tabs to go inside of a planner.
Oh, washi
This is the washi tape I was talking about. So they
That's
have
so
two. And then the sticker sets, which are super cute.
I want it all.
And then I don't know if these, I think these are stickers because they look like stickers. They don't look like acrylic stands. So they're going to have solo stickers of each scout, which I'm really excited about. I'd like to get them all.
That's
So that is one of, okay, so it actually says here. No, they're acrylics.
really
Yeah, because this is acrylic clip collection. All 10 types of acrylic clips are designed for each character. So these are acrylic stands. So I was right.
that's so interesting. They're so cute though.
But I'm wondering if they say clips, does that mean they're going to be keychains? So that's something to look out for to see what we're going to see. But these are very cute. This pajama collection is adorable. I love the fact that Ray is doing her makeup and so is Kuromi.
Yes.
That just pleases me greatly. And of course, Hello Kitty is eating just like Usagi. You got cinnamon roll with the teapot. And I love this whole collab.
It's
It's funny because cinnamon roll is actually one of my favorite characters.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, it looks like I'm getting more Mercury stuff than I normally do.
Yeah.
No
I
hate
can-
on Mercury. Usagi just happens to be my favorite. All right. So next we've got, hold on. So that was announced. And then they did announce, this is really cute. So they also released some Dead Moon stuff, which I
Oh,
find super interesting because I think this is a repeat because
yeah.
they already had these, I think. But I don't know if they have because this Helenia looks different. No, they haven't.
I was gonna say if anyone would know, it's you.
I don't. That or these are. Oh, and look,
Ooh,
we got smaller ones, and then this keychain is what actually had me like.
that's so cute.
How cute is that? That is. They're gonna have a Dream Mirror keychain. This is gonna be in the Sailor Moon store that is in Japan. So we've got the original, the stand. I think this is new, if I am remembering correctly, because I don't think they got full stands. The other Nehelenia and stuff that we got was like their. Do you remember Sailor Moon drops?
Yes.
Which I'm still upset about that they took away and it still hasn't come back, and I'm I'm still mad about it.
I still have
They
the
have the
art.
Sailor Moon drops caricatures for them, and I don't think they actually had full ones. So guess what I need to do? I'm gonna have to start searching for these because I love the Dead Moon Circus. We don't get a lot of stuff for them. I'm
No.
excited, especially for Queen Helenia. Queen Helenia, we hardly get anything, and I think that's weird because we got stuff for everybody else. Oh, there's stickers. Heck, y'all get a Helenia sticker. Let's go. So those were acrylic stands. This is going to be coming out soon. This will be released soon in the Sailor Moon store. This is something to look out for if you guys happen to use what is the word?
Proxy.
Proxy. Thank you. I happen to use a proxy, or I order other stuff through my proxy. Okay, there's a lot of announcements just so you guys know. It's an acrylic stand of the Sailor Moon logo, the
Oh.
comic logo. So this is the original comic logo for Sailor Moon. And it's gonna be at the Sailor Moon store. It actually starts the official fan club can actually start ordering, and the pre-sale starts in May for them. And then general sales starts on May 12th, it says.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's actually a good thing to be, if you are part of the Sailor Moon Club, it's one of the good things because you can order stuff early, and it is in English
No.
for the Sailor Moon Club. They do have an English version.
I was gonna say, what is the Sailor Moon Club? Because I know what it is, but I'm not really.
Got it in my announcements because they just announced the new stuff for it.
Okay, sorry, not
You're
skip
good.
ahead.
I was like, I got you. I'm just going down the list that of stuff that came out. Hold on.
This is why you guys should watch, because then you learn like I do.
So they are releasing an animation color edition of the Sailor Moon figure arts. I'm actually pretty interested in getting one of these simply because it looks like she is much more articulated than the original Sailor Moon figure arts that came out, I want to say 10 years ago now.
Oh my god, has it been that long?
Yes.
Oh,
Because it was when I first moved to where I live now. I think it's been like 10 years. So what's great about this is she will have, as you can see, she can grip the wand in front of her. I feel like she's much more posable because I feel like mine does not pose this well.
yeah.
She'll of course have her classic stance and face. There was some other stuff I remember seeing for it. Let me see if it's on there. Maybe not. They pictures that someone got of the box doesn't show all her faces. She won't have the original crying face that came with her first debut.
I remember that face. That face was so
That's
cute.
the one I got. I was able to get my hands. I have that one where she has the crybaby face. It's not on my Sailor Moon figure right now, but I do have that one. All right, so here we go. We're on fan club now. Let's see if he links it, because if he doesn't link it, I'm going to have to figure out if I can they do not link it. Okay. So unfortunately, this is not linked. So you guys are going to have to look at it as big as I can get it. So this is the Sailor Moon fan club. It is something you reinstate every year. Sailor Moon fan club actually has early access to a lot of stuff. They also have, if you see this picture right here, this is an exclusive pin for like a scarf pin. And it is of the Eternal, I think it's the Eternal staff. It's the staff she uses. It's in the manga that she's holding as the queen against Nehelenia after Nehelenia gets sealed again. Hold on one sec.
Oh, that looks so cool.
So that's a scarf pin. So when you join the club, every year there's a piece of jewelry.
Okay.
I have a couple pieces of the jewelry. Like the first year was the Crescent Moon wand. They've had the what's the second wand called? The
Romance wand, or no, it's
the one with the globe.
Spiral Heart.
No, the one with where it's like it's supposed to be like her and Mamoru's love is what made it.
Oh,
It's the royal staff or whatever. I always forget the name of that one. But that was also a necklace they've had where they had the communicators that the girls actually have, because girls do have communicators in the manga. There's a really cute bracelet of the communicator. There's a bunch of other stuff that they do. So every year you reinstate it. It's 6,050 yen. So depending on the conversion ratio, I think the yen's pretty weak right now. So that's actually probably like $50 in USD. And you get this scarf pin and you get this really cool card with your member number. And you also get the Sailor Moon like magazine that they do newsletters, and you can put them in these cute little envelopes that are over here. Like the ice skating event that we shared a couple weeks ago for the Prism on Ice that didn't happen. Fan club members actually got early access to actually buy the merch from that. So the fan club gets early access to a lot of stuff, and they get the free stuff here too. But fan club gets first access to a lot of things, which is really cool. Let me see. I'm going to share this tab instead while I look through this really quick. Like I said, you can renew every year. It's interesting because there's certain, I believe, restrictions when it comes to like the American side of the fan club for certain things. So a lot of people use proxies who can do accounts and they host it at their address. I think you don't get the newsletters if you don't have a Japan address. You miss out on that cool little thing.
oh,
I'm going to show you a picture of like the envelope. So I'm going to show you what you get with the fan club. So these are the envelopes that you would put your fan club magazine, and have 12 volumes. You can get a pink version or a blue version. It's really cute. And they have a price for it because you have to pay for it. This is not, this little bit's not free, but it's really cool to be able to showcase your newsletters and your magazine when they come out.
that's so cute.
And it's really cute. I really like it. And we did get announcements for what they're going to be giving away at some of the movie theaters for Cosmos. So this is, so in Japan, it works a little bit differently. So when they have special prizes that you can get with your ticket, there's certain movie theaters.
Okay.
So in these movie theaters, it could either be like a fan card or something that you get. For this one, this is the Lopi movies. When you get your tickets, these are going to be in machines for almost like gashapon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, for the cards, these are going to be given away with movie tickets, and you can buy them separately, but you have to have a movie ticket to be able to buy this stuff. So what you're going to see first is these are the character cards.
Oh my God, they're so cute.
And they're in their Eternal outfits. So these are the Eternal Scouts. And these cards are going to be about, I'm going to say what it used to be. I'm not going to try and do the conversion, but this used to be like $17. That's how I used to do yen. You
Okay.
move this comma over, $17. So for $17, you can get, this is going to release with the first movie. This is going to release with the second movie. So there's going to be 6 cards released with each movie. Now these are going to be in like the gashapon type machine. These are going to be purse clips, essentially, so zipper clips. And then this is an acrylic stand of the movie poster.
Oh my god, I go broke.
I do. Okay, Cosmos is actually a very dangerous movie for me because Eternal Sailor Moon is my absolute favorite.
Oof, and before there was no merchandise of it.
There's nothing. I love the Starlights. I love everything about Stars. I think it when we're talking about friendships, Stars really tested some shit.
Stars tested a lot of shit.
Stars tested Usagi's love for Mamoru, and I was like, do it. All right, let's see what else. They also announced that they are going to be doing new lookup little figures. These are very cute. I actually have these on pre-order for Sailor Moon. I actually have these on pre-order for Sailor Moon and for Sailor Chibi Moon.
Oh,
and they're little lookup figures, and they just sit and they look up at you, and you can adjust their heads on how far they look up at you.
all right.
So they're releasing Eternal Mercury and Eternal Mars, and I believe if it's you get a look how cute they are.
They're so cute. I'm like, I don't even collect either of them, and I think they're adorable.
And I believe there's a special order where you can also get them little plates to sit on.
That's
With
cuter.
yeah. So I'm really excited for those. I really want to order them. I think they're super adorable. I'd like to get their plates. I don't know if I get the plates for Sailor Moon and Chibiusa because I haven't gotten any word yet that my pre-order went through.
Oh man.
Trying to see what else. Okay. So that is actually all of the Moonie news. The only other news they had was Cardcaptor Sakura. I understand that's another magical girl one. But Q-Pot is doing a collab with Cardcaptor Sakura. And I have never wanted their jewelry as bad as I do with this because it's super fucking cute. But it's so expensive because Q-Pot's got some Sailor Moon stuff and I cannot touch that because it is hundreds of dollars.
That was going to be my question isn't their jewelry really expensive?
Hundreds of dollars because they have the Eternal Moon brooch
Oh no.
as one of their things. And it is so expensive. And I'm like, God, I want it so.
I was down the rabbit hole with Selene for the Moonie News, which will be a new segment. Please tune in for her segment every episode now.
My wife hates the fact that I know all this Moonie news. Trust me.
It gives you an excuse just to be up on the knowledge.
Wallet cries for my knowledge, okay? Cries every time.
Awesome. Let's get back to our topic now that we are done with that. So we're going to go a little bit more into friendship and just somebody I wanted to bring up. And I know it has nothing to do with Sailor Moon, but fun fact, I am originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So one of our icons of that city is actually Mr. Rogers, which is how I'm tying all of this together. Yes, I'm tying Sailor Moon and Mr. Rogers together. But Mr. Rogers, I think, had some of the best quotes on friendship and relationships out of anyone I've ever read about. So
he was also a brilliant man to begin with.
Honestly, like one of the most brilliant. And he was actually educated at Rollins College down in Florida, but ended up staying in Pittsburgh for the rest of his life after. But shut it, love. You haven't even heard the reach yet. I have a point.
Michi, does your back hurt from the reach?
Hush.
Burned.
I can hear it. Okay, so the quotes that I wanted to go over, this first one was, everyone longs to be loved, and the greatest thing we can do is let people know that they are loved and capable of loving. I'm sorry, that could be a Sailor Moon quote from the movie that we were talking about in the dub. Straight up. I think what it is this reminds me of the embodiment of what Sailor Moon was trying to get across, especially with how Usagi just shows everyone that they are loved, and that especially being capable of loving, I think is a huge thing with her and the villains. So I think that Mr. I know it's a reach. I know I'm bending, Loki.
And no, in the manga, they just like go to the villains.
You're not wrong. And it could be one of those things with friendship because, let's see. And that's why I also brought up this Mr. Rogers quote, because I'm going to reach like a gymnast doing flips. Love isn't a state of perfect caring. It's an active noun like struggle. To love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she is right here and now.
That sounds like a Sailor Moon says.
Does that not sound like that? You not heard her say that Sailor Moon does? Like, that could.
She literally says something like that. You need to accept people how they are and try to see things from their point of view.
Exactly. Like, I'm telling you, this ties in. Loki's like, I was wondering why Mr. Rogers appeared in the group chat, and now it all makes sense. I could tie anything back to Sailor Moon. Give me a chance. But I genuinely think that this aspect of Mr. Rogers talking about how love isn't a perfect state of caring, how it is an active noun like struggle, that is shown in Sailor Moon because it is an active struggle to learn to love the villain, even through their darkness, even through like how we see it with the Spectre sisters about how they go from villain to hero, or not really even hero, just like neutral.
Get reborn. They're allowed to live as humans and be sisters like they really wanted to be.
Yeah, and the other one is that you also get to see the Amazon Quartet. That is an active struggle love. Because those girls can be little SOBs and know it.
I mean, they're only SOBs because they're corrupted. Because they were very like polite and shit once they actually like remember themselves. They're like, we're gonna go back to sleep now. Bye.
And then the other quote that reminds me of Usagi is this quote from Mr. Rogers. If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to people you may not even dream of. Does that sound like a Sailor Moon says in Goodnight for season 4? I'm telling you, we can make a crossover. It'd be epic.
I mean, she's the one who doesn't let the scouts sacrifice themselves, but she sacrifices herself. I'm like, ma'am.
But Usagi is an active love person. She actively shows. She actively walks off the bus because she thinks Rei is pretty and she wants to be her bestie. Like, she actively will push herself in dangerous ways. She will actively give up her life for her friends. And I think that is one of her love languages.
I think she's just tired of people dying for her.
Do you think it's that she's had everybody die on her so much that she's now reversing it?
Scouts died for her in the Moon Kingdom.
Yeah.
Prince Endymion died for her on the Moon Kingdom. He took a strike for her.
And then
So I think she's like, you know what? Nah. I'm done.
And then in season 1, she has to watch them all over again. Dying for her. And no wonder she snaps and turns.
They died for her in Stars too.
Yeah, all of them. All 10.
Right in front of them. And I'm like, my poor heart.
Yeah, Stars isn't particularly brutal because I feel like this quote, especially the sense of importance, I feel like that is a big thing. Oh, I know that meme.
I remember that. It was really
Let me
sweet.
find that meme.
What the Comfy Witch is saying is she also loves gently, like when the girl confessed to her, instead of being like, oh, that's gross. She was like, oh my God, no, thank you, but I really appreciate you and let's be friends if you want. Because there is a moment where a girl tries to give a love letter to Usagi. And Usagi puts her down in the most gentle way. And she's like, oh my God, I'm just so... Usagi's like flattered. She's like, thanks. However, I'm in love with someone. Let's be friends.
There we go. Is it like this? There we go. Yeah, so the first box says, you're Tsukino-san in class 1 first year, aren't you? And Usagi says, yes, that's right. And then the girl says, oh, please take this. And she says, a love letter. And she says, I appreciate your feelings, but there's already someone. And the girl says, oh no. And Usagi says, don't cry, even though you can't be my girlfriend, you might be one of my friends.
She puts her down so nicely. She's like, I'm with someone. I'm sorry.
And meme is from Tumblr originally, and it was by Marble Green's Reviews. And it says, see, in many modern animes, you probably get protagonists to say something like, what? But we're both girls. Shouldn't you be giving this to a boy or something? I really like how Usagi handles it. She's not undermining the girl's feelings, and she's taking her seriously. But doesn't reciprocate. She offers her friendship instead of just brushing girls off and going, ooh, gay weirdo. Sailor Moon really did empower women and sexuality, and this is one of the many scenes that showcase that.
And that's from Stars because they're in high school.
Definitely, you can tell by the uniform. Yeah, and
I thought it was so cute. I was like, oh, that is someone with a crush on her.
it's just like so special. And like, it's kind of, because Usagi's always chasing everybody else, it's kind of fun to see Usagi.
Someone like her. I'm just like, hell yeah, because she's cute as fuck.
Heck yeah. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring up Mr. Rogers, which I know apparently now Loki was like, where are we going, Michi? But I think it was very well played in, because I think the three quotes from Mr. Rogers really do show how much Sailor Moon, where it's not just friendship, but it's a sense of importance. It's the love is a struggle, and everyone longs to be loved. Those three are I'm telling you, topics of Sailor Moon and friendship.
Getting roasted on your own stream.
Swear to gosh, in my own stream about talking about Mr.
Right in front of your salad.
In front of Mr. Rogers pictures. How dare. But that's one thing I wanted to talk about tonight. That's fair. Let's see. We already went over those ones. Let's talk about Pluto and Chibiusa's friendship, because I think that's an interesting one. Because we talked about this on the show, or at least I don't think you were on that episode in particular, or you might have been. No, okay. This was a Pluto specific episode, and we talked about how Pluto's mindset, we got to remember, she was a child when she was left at the gate. Like, she was a legitimate child. So her mindset could be a lot younger than what we're anticipating. And it could be why she is so involved and why she is so, like, more able to connect with Chibiusa, who, let's also remember, has been a child for 900 years.
I've always viewed them as like an older sister type. Like, I feel Pluto is very much that loving older sister, especially because Chibiusa was going to visit her because she was running away. She was sad and she didn't have any friends. So she ran through the time door, which she wasn't supposed to do.
Oh man, I just rewatched that part in Crystal where Luna's going to the time door and might accidentally say hello to Pluto, might interact with Pluto. How dare Luna? And Queen Trinity's losing her mind. And it was like, let her have a friend.
And I think it's their friendship is very much the elder sister. And I think that's the part that Pluto plays, is that loving older sister, which that's not something Chibiusa has. While she has a loving mother, and that's why I think the whole thing where she created another timeline, much like Dragon Ball Z's timeline thing, where it created two separate timelines, because I'm just going to tie it in. You don't see the kind of friendship relationship that Usagi has, her younger self has with Chibiusa, as Neo Queen Serenity and Chibiusa. And I feel that Pluto filled a void that Chibiusa really longed for. She longed for a sister because Neo Queen Serenity has her sister. She has the inner scout. She has friends. Where Chibiusa is a very lonely child. And that is reiterated several times. She is a lonely child because she is the princess. She hasn't grown up. She is 900 years old. There's a reason Wise Man was able to manipulate her like he did, because she was lonely. The only friend she had was Pluto. I really love their friendship, which it does evolve because she does pull away from Pluto when Pluto gets
Yeah.
because Pluto gets reborn. Pluto gets a chance to be a person. She gets to grow up, and she ends up just being put in as Setsuna, who's a scientist. I was like, was she already growing up? Is like,
I don't like, did they at least like for a loving family and let her grow?
no, because she appears as an adult. So I'm just like, did we pull like a Nehelenia kind of thing where she was like sent back as a child and now it just happens to be this? Like she's an adult now and a scientist. She's just fresh out of college, essentially. You don't see that friendship anymore because it becomes Chibiusa and Hotaru.
That's true.
When she dies, I feel that friendship, or does she choose to be an adult? Who knows?
That's
When you see Setsuna again, she's a scientist fresh out of college. That or she's in college. It's one of those, but she's a lab
I
assistant.
think, yeah, it's never quite said. Or if it is said, it's in the manga.
Probably. But like when we see her again, she's an adult and she's a lab assistant in this lab. But I think that Chibiusa's friendship with Pluto, that close-knit sisterly friendship, pretty much dies when Pluto dies. The first time. Now she still looks to Pluto, but you don't see the friendship she once had when she was in Crystal Tokyo.
That's interesting. It's almost like you're showing how the friendship like evolved, but like not to the level of Usagi and Molly where they grew apart and they're almost separate in lives. They're kind of like acquaintances. It's like it's a different type because they're still in their lives. They still respect each other, but they're not as like interconnected as they used to be.
Oh, is she a nurse? I forgot about that.
Oh, okay. So Loki was telling us that
These are, I'm guessing, what they say her occupations are.
yes. So residency, door of space and time, Tokyo, Japan school, Keio University, Juban Public Elementary School staff, occupation, Sailor Guardian, student, nurse, researcher, school. Oh yeah.
School nurse, yeah.
My reading skills and comprehend and speaking skills are
Fine.
not.
You're doing amazing. But I think it does show the depth of that, and I feel maybe because Chibiusa is responsible
Yeah.
and she kind of separates herself from that because you don't really see her be close with the other outers. You only see her be close with Saturn. You don't see her the way she was with Pluto, with what they showed during the Black Moon arc, the Black Moon Clan arc. How close she was with Pluto, you don't see that anymore.
No, she becomes closer. Pluto becomes closer to Saturn. Michiru. They
Mhm.
form their unit again,
Mhm.
which is something I don't think that really happened in the third season.
It's interesting because when you think about it, friendship wise, Pluto and Saturn are kind of outcast scouts
Yeah,
in general. Um, and it's so funny because you see a lot of the times who's paired up is Pluto and Saturn.
they
When
are.
it comes to the outers. When it comes to the outers fighting together, it is Pluto and Saturn who work together.
Also, just a little dig. Why in the world do they never get their own individual merch? Why are they always pushed together?
Do now, but I mean, some of the older merch was either Pluto with Saturn or it was Chibiusa with Saturn. A lot of just mainly the art.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to merch, when I look at my merch, not Pluto and Saturn are not together in the merch.
Okay, and you know way more than I do on that subject.
For the merch, they don't really put any of them together except for Uranus and Neptune. They're the only ones who have a lot of collab merch, and that's really it.
That's probably what I'm thinking of because every time I get their merch, I always usually see the Pluto Saturn pairing. And then,
Now, if they're set out in the merchandising thing together, that's different.
okay. Where was I going with that? I had a theory, I had a thought, and then I lost it. Okay, let's go with what Loki was saying. Hatsuna Mayo is a university student while the others are still in the middle or high school. Despite being the oldest of all the Sailor Guardians, Satsuna never assumes any type of official leadership role. Even among the Outer Scout Sailor Guardians, she frequently defers to Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. She has a special relationship with Chibiusa. And is that from the Sailor Moon Wiki, Loki?
Sounds like it.
It sounds like Sailor Moon Wiki. I just want to double check for telling her. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's from Sailor Moon Wiki. That is really interesting. And you're right. I never realized Pluto to me has the most interesting relationship with all of the scouts by far. Because close, and yet she's not close at the exact same time. And she's like this enigma that people want to be friends with, yet ever seem to connect. And Haruka and Michiru are the only ones who really can.
And you see that closeness in the Eternal movie, which was very interesting. Because the Eternal movie leaned hard on the throuple with them.
Way harder than I remember. Even in the
I was absolutely shocked.
Okay, but why did they edit the Haruka and Michiru Rose scene to make it like less of Haruka being jealous? I didn't like that. It's the one where Michiru has the bouquet of white roses and she's in the music shop and the little fanboy comes up and he's like, "Oh my god, are you Michiru Kaio? Oh my god, I'm such a huge fan. Can I shake your hand?" And then Haruka is supposed to come in and be like, "Thanks for being a fan," and like aggressively shake it. And like she kind of did, but like it wasn't the same vibe. It was more like neutral, like friends swooping in. I don't know. That was just my nitpick with the movie. That is one of my favorite manga scenes of all time. I was so disappointed by the way they did it.
Yeah, I guess they were just like, oh, let's not make her so aggressive. But then they leaned heavily into the throuple, and I was like, where? When? This is not in the manga. It's heavily implied,
Yeah.
but it's not in the manga. And I was like, I'm not mad about it.
Let's just admit that they are not following the manga anymore. Like, the manga has become the guide like it used to be in the 90s, and we have officially jumped the shark. And that's not a bad thing.
No. But
We're not
sometimes
saying
and
that's
I
a negative.
question what directions they take, as long as they don't deviate from the whole thing is about friendship. And we're going to see that very much tested in the Cosmos movies. Stars very much test the friendship of the girls and how much they love each other. You also see some friendships deepen. Mars and Venus getting very close. You see that friendship really deepen with one another. Usagi making a new friend in Seiya.
Let's talk about that friendship.
Seiya wants more than a friendship, let me tell you. Seiya would like to tap that, please. And Usagi's just completely like
oblivious. The most oblivious of densest of stars in the sky.
She's oblivious to a point, but I think where Seiya misses himself / herself, because it's himself a lot of the time, he misses the fact that she's taken. She's got a promise ring on her finger, and she's thinking about someone else. I'm like, Migay. Although he does test it, because Usagi's like love for Mamoru does waver for a moment.
Yeah, it's like tap dancing on that fine line.
Yeah, but I mean, you see this concept of friendship, and with Usagi especially, where she reaches her hand out to the starlights. She's like, we're scouts. And this is the only time, and it's the stars, because we're dealing with Sailor Scouts. We are dealing with Sailor Scouts from other planets. The only time in the manga where Usagi tries to stop them from killing each other. This is the only time Usagi actually try to have a redemption arc with these villains. And it is all because they are fellow scouts. She mentions that. She's like, we are scouts. Why are we fighting? Mm-hmm. And I think it's a big thing with her friendship, is if you're a scout, you're supposed to be friends, which isn't always true.
That's interesting.
And you see that with the Outers, because she tries that when the Outers first show up. She's like, why are we fighting? Why aren't we friends? Why aren't we working together? We're scouts. So I think while we do see a lot of this friendship, I think Usagi kind of saddles that friendship on top of being Sailor Scouts. So if you're Sailor Scouts, you have to be friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much a character flaw for her.
Mm.
Friendship for Usagi is a character flaw.
Interesting. Let me hear it. I'm curious. What is your theory? Like, why it's a flaw?
It's just like I said, you mainly see it in Stars because we are fighting other Sailor Scouts where she's hesitating, where she has not hesitated before when she's fighting. There is an evil, she fights it, end of story kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now she does hesitate with Black Lady, but of course that's the Chibiusa. Of course she's going to hesitate. But yes, unending loyalty to others is hubris, which is a fatal flaw. So you see this in Stars mainly, that it becomes almost like this hindrance for her. And you see a lot of people die in Stars. Just
Yeah.
so you guys know.
Yep.
A lot of in Stars.
We might need
And
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I just wanted to be like, we might need to do an episode to emotionally prepare people for Stars, because I know it's your favorite season. So I'd love to do like an episode.
I'm excited about seeing the movies, but I'm also like apprehensive because I want to see all of the aspects that happen in Stars because we do see an evolution for everybody. You see them going into high school, you see that their friendships deepening, which is what this whole episode's about. You see Usagi trying to make new friends and her friends not liking it because they don't trust the Starlights, especially Haruka. Haruka's like, get away from her. But Michiru's the same. Michiru's the same. They're both going, hey, stay away from Usagi. And Usagi's just like, dee, 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 I want to be friends. And because Michiru and Haruka are blind, they understand what Seiya's doing. They're like, hey, my guy, she's taken up.
Like future kid taken.
And you're going to see a lot of heart wrenching. You're going to see what these friendships have done and how they've made Usagi grow. And you get your heart ripped out in Stars. I think Stars is one of the only times I have truly sobbed during Sailor Moon. And it is because when you reach Stars, she has been friends with these people for years at this point. They've been friends for several years. They have gone through like life and death together. And is it that she's taken, or is it that Usagi is their princess? So back the fuck up, bud, and find your own princess. It's true. Bro,
It's-
go princess, you've got your own. It's a big test for Usagi in Sailor Stars. And it's interesting because, and this is why I say Cosmos is not Sailor Moon, because you have Cosmos come in. And sorry, you guys, we've spoken about this stuff in previous episodes. Yes, this is a spoiler about Cosmos. Cosmos says she is Sailor Moon.
Yes.
From the future. But the thing is this Cosmos doesn't have the love of friendship anymore. He has run away, essentially abandoning her friends, which is very much not an Usagi thing. Even if they had died, Usagi would stay there till the end and die herself to be with her friends. That is the kind of friendship Usagi has. And you have Cosmos explaining that, hey, I ran away. And I'm like,
what? That's what you're like.
No. So I have a big issue with Cosmos saying she is Sailor Moon because friendship is such a huge thing for like in Usagi's life in general. Her friendships mean everything to her. She will die with her friends. She will not leave them. And that is what you see in Stars. Stars, you watch, she knows everyone is dead at this point. And she's like, well, I'm going to go throw myself in the galaxy cauldron. If I die.
You're not wrong.
She's like, everybody's already dead. If I die and I get to join my friends. Like that. She doesn't care if she's going to die. She's not going to, she's like, my friends are dead. If I die, but I die knowing I tried.
Yes.
And so I think that's my slight problem with Cosmos in the series, because they pull away from that aspect. They pull away from the fact that she would have died for her friend. She would have died with her friend, no matter the thing. Okay, so the company which is, though it's really fucking heart-wrenching in the fight with Vera when all her friends are dead and the last thing Usagi thinks of is her mom.
Her friends that just died for her.
Again. Anyway, that's good night, everyone. But in Star, like I said, in Stars, we're gonna see a lot of stuff tested. Everybody's gonna have their hearts kind of out. Please go read the manga if you haven't. Especially if you really have been riveted in this episode about the friendships and stuff and how Sailor Moon has shaped so much. And that's Sailor Moon shaped how I look at friendships
Oh, yeah.
and how I've made friendships and how I try to treat people. That was actually part of like this speech thing that I had to give when I was in the Anime Boston cosplay competition.
Oh, really?
My whole thing was like Sailor Moon taught me what true friendship is
Oh.
and how friends sacrifice things for each other and they're there for you. And I think that's one of the things is that as I've gotten older, why I've separated myself from so many people. Because I was just like, I realized how much I was giving and like nobody was reciprocating, nobody was doing anything in return. And I think Sailor Moon was a big factor in that. I mean, Sailor Moon was my best friend growing up.
Mm.
And that's why I think why I connected with that Naoko thing where she said she didn't really have friends. I was the same. I actually had no friends. I had a couple, but I didn't really have like friends. I was by myself, like would eat lunch by myself, um, and that sort of thing. Like I used to hang out with several people who I don't know if you've met them, but I'm pretty sure Erin, who was in our last episode, met because she still lives in the area that I grew up in. And I've actually met several people through the 3000 Brigade who I actually went to school with
That's
and I was
so
friends
cool.
with. So I had very few friends. I had a very select group of friends. It was like 4 people. And Sailor Moon was my best friend. I used to watch it all the time and I was like, she's my friend. That's my best friend right there. That blonde crybaby, my best friend. And I think that message of friendship is literally why I'm here today. Sailor Moon actually helped me make it past my teen years. If it wasn't for Sailor Moon, I would not be here talking to you guys. Gonna be serious with that. I think that is a big factor for a lot of Moonies. Because I've talked to other Moonies and I've gotten the same thing is that love of friendship and togetherness that Sailor Moon perpetuates and the friends you make friends with Sailor Moon essentially with the manga or the anime and it helps a lot of people. I think people seeing that pure friendship and so that's something they want. So they kind of watch it and Sailor Moon gets them through the tough times.
Yeah.
I don't know if Sailor Moon got you through some tough times, but I know she's the reason I'm here. So
No, Sailor Moon definitely. Especially because Michiru is a character who is very unique in media in that I feel that what I love is that she is a strong character with a romance, but the romance isn't her plot. It just happens to be part of who she is. She has an actual plot of being a Sailor Scout. She just happened to fall in love with her partner, but like she is complete. She is a complete character by herself. Even if you don't have Haruka, she would still have a storyline.
Mhm.
And for me, I never really connected with a lot of media growing up because there wasn't a lot of people that I found that fall in love with people like I would. So it was like finding an identity in Sailor Moon and someone to connect with, which I think is something that is so unique about the show. That there are so many characters that you end up finding somebody that you can connect with.
everyone's got their favorite scout.
And there's like,
Mine is Becky. And yours is Michiru.
yes.
So I think the show really allows people to connect and becomes again, become friends with the character that they find themselves syncing with, vibing with, essentially. I think that's very unique to Sailor Moon.
Mm.
There's other shoujos out there like Card Captors, and there's Mermaid Melody, there's Tokyo Mew Mew. But I'm gonna be honest, I've watched a lot of Magical Girl, and I have never connected with any of those shows like I did with Sailor Moon. I just didn't. I didn't find I liked the characters, but the connection that I feel fuels my obsession is because of Usagi. Like she shaped a lot of this, and I understand the Deke is what shaped me, okay? Because I used to watch Sailor Moon like at the end of the like it was my fucking church, okay? Sailor Moon says with my goddamn church. So I think that's what's the most unique thing about Sailor Moon. And I mean, when you look at something else that's very big on friendship, let's look at the horse in the corner, My Little Pony. I honestly think like My Little Pony is literally the Sailor Moon dynamic.
Oh, 100%.
But it's the power of friendship. Friendship is magic. That is their fucking theme, is friendship is magic. And it was, let's see. So that was the later 2000s.
What?
I want to say like the 2010 era. That was the big My Little Pony scene. That's when you saw the big boom for it. And you had that friendship is magic. And it was the reason why people connected, and it's similar to Sailor Moon. They had personalities. They were each different people.
Yes.
I mean, they were ponies, but
Semantics. Go on.
They had their own personalities. They were their own people. People connected to certain ponies. And that's still going on. And what's funny is that series is the one that set the stage for so much My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Because the newer generations, people still watch the 2010, and that's what they connect with. That's what they base everything on. Because I've tried watching the new one, and I was like, this is dog water.
As somebody who was a connoisseur of friendship is magic, I could do it up until the Chibiusa was introduced. And then after the Chibiusa came in, I was like, table flip, I'm done.
Which one? Who's the Chibiusa?
The one when Cadence and Shining Armor had the baby. That's Chibiusa.
Oh, I didn't get that far. Shit.
Yeah, I know. In case you're wondering, guys,
the moment Twilight Sparkle became an alicorn is when I stopped watching it, because I was like, where are we going with this?
I made it all the way through till Chibiusa got there, and then I couldn't. Then I was like, nope, I've seen this before. I'm not doing Chibiusa the show part 2.
No, I didn't get that far. I got to the wedding, and that was it.
Nope, I cosplayed Twilight. I've cosplayed Celestia. Like I was really into the show for a while. Especially the 100th episode. Wow, chef's kiss. Fantastic.
Yeah. But it was they lost the show essentially after the wedding. I feel like once she became an alicorn, it got really like odd, and I didn't connect with the characters anymore, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, because they did such a good job at establishing who they were. That's where it reminds me of Sailor Moon. They were all different. They all connected as friends.
And you felt it. I feel like Twilight Sparkle was almost the Sailor Moon. She had to go out and make friends with these people because she was so different. She was the bookworm. Everybody else is doing their own thing. And I love Twilight Sparkle. She was my favorite. She was also purple. I also love Rarity, because Rarity is just bitch. You're like, bitch, I'm serving. And I'm like, Rarity, yes. Please serve. But yeah, I feel they lost the show. And I feel that because of the dynamic, and like I said, that I connected with that show. It wasn't a magical girl show. It kind of was.
It was. You can argue
Magical
that is a magical girl show. They even became human at a point.
We don't talk about that one.
I'll talk about it.
Hilarious.
No.
I actually want the statues because they look fabulous.
I have one, and I'll defend the movies because that one movie, Rainbow Rocks, I think it is, it's flawless, and I will defend that movie.
I'll fight you.
I'm in the fandom.
But I think the reason why, again, bringing it back to Sailor Moon, they had that Sailor Moon essence with the characters. Sailor Moon, everybody connects with the character. I don't care who you are. If you're a fan, you have a favorite. There's someone you've connected with. I haven't met anybody who doesn't. And it doesn't matter what your pronouns are. You have a character you love.
Yep.
Like one of my really good guy friends, he connects with Venus and Artemis. I would have to ask my boyfriend who his favorite character is, but he's got a connection with someone in Sailor Moon because he's watched it.
Every cosplayer I've ever met.
They have, even though they may not even cosplay the character that they connect with.
That's true.
They have a favorite scout. Like I have friends who like their favorite scout's Jupiter or someone else. Everybody has their favorite scout.
And
Sweats and manga Mamoru and Sei and Haruka. Yeah. There's my wife.
What I was going to say is I actually have a friend who was like, I don't like any of the scouts. And then she was like, and then it hit me, Wicked Lady. And then she was like, that's my favorite. Everybody has a favorite.
I was like, it doesn't have to be a scout. You can have a favorite villain. Like me, it's Usagi, but my favorite villain is Nehelenia, hands down, because she's not giving enough justice. That bitch almost won. She almost ended all of them.
She did. She's the one
they had to bring out special powers to end her ass.
It's true.
What? Diamundo? I think that's how it's said.
I have no idea how it's properly
Demande,
pronounced.
that's what they call him, Demande in the Japanese.
Oh my god, my glitter got in my eye. He is a good
villain. He's very hot. Prince Diamond.
That's all I know him as is Prince Diamond.
It's Demande in Japanese. But
the other,
I think that's why people connect with Sailor Moon so much.
I agree. I think it's the individualization of the characters, and also as we were talking, like how you really connect to Usagi and how I really connect to Michiru. What I was gonna go into that is the different forms of friendship that you see with them that I think is the most interesting. Because I think it's cool that we see Michiru have kind of an older sister friendship with Usagi, where like she looks up to her. Whereas then we see Michiru have a romantic type of, and by the way, I am not calling them friends. I am not calling them cousins. So do not at me, all right? I'm saying that they have a romantic type of relationship, but the core, there's that saying that your best friend is your partner.
That's my wife. He's my best friend.
My best friend.
That's my best friend right there.
Yeah.
I always tell her, like, that's my best friend. I'm my wife.
Exactly.
That's one of the reasons we never separated, is because we found we had so much in common, and then we never left each other alone.
That's so sweet.
I mean, we met over me cosplaying Princess Serenity, so
romantic as all get out.
I actually proposed to her in the spot that I actually did that Serenity shoot in. So
y'all too much. I
know we're disgusting.
That's so gay.
It is super gay. I do, and then we choose to spend time alone together. Actually, our time apart is when we're at work. We actually cannot stand to be apart more than that. It's actually disgusting, everybody.
I love you guys.
Disgusting. I find it interesting for like Michiru, the way she is the older sister for Usagi. Yet you got Haruka over here trying to get Usagi's fan.
I didn't say it was an ethical fan.
Because you got fucking Haruka being like, I killed the princess. Let's fucking go. And I'm like, sir. Although, please don't, because that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Kiss her again. Please. All of us are like, do it again. Meanwhile, Michiru's just like, an ice cream.
No, Michiru is like just writing a note for later, and that's
taking pictures. She's like, yes.
Oh, see, no, I was going the opposite. I was gonna be like, oh no, Michiru's just like, okay, I'll get you back later. And then that's what happens with Seiya in the dressing room.
Mimi. I feel like Michi would be like, I'm gonna take pictures for later.
But I would be like, but I would want to be in a picture.
We can throuple that way. Let's go.
And also, I agree with you. Because as a demisexual person myself, I agree. I feel like Michiru is demisexual.
Hardcore. Haruka is definitely pansexual.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a fuck.
So Haruka is just like, if they cute, that's good enough.
Literally. I feel like Michiru is just like, at this point, she's like, I don't even care anymore.
Michiru is like, gonna flirt with the monster that's made out of a palm tree. I'm waiting for it.
Honestly, Michiru is just like, you know what? You come home to me. It's fine.
It's the best description of Haruka I've ever read.
Oh, this human has a heartbeat. I'm gonna make it go faster.
That's Haruka. Except for whenever Michiru's around, because then Haruka turns into a dork. Okay, but let's go back. So, friendship. So, is there anything else we want to say to kind of wrap up this episode? Because I feel like we kind of need to bookend it, because we've kind of been all over the spectrum of friendship, like from female friendship to empowering friendship to
That's the whole show. It is the power of friendship and how they use the power of friendship to overcome anything.
and I think it's manifested both in action and in their literal friendships themselves. Because I feel like their friendships, as they evolve and as we see, like, the outers start to become more incorporated in the 5th season in Stars. Like, we see their friendships get closer than they ever were in the Silver Millennium.
Exactly.
Okay. But yeah, and then anything else from the audience?
My wife's peanut gallery, you mean?
The Loki show? Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
Look, he's like, no, I'm finished.
Loki's like,
This is fine.
no, enough of the Loki show. Okay, so then we're gonna end this episode.
So, first of all, thank you all for listening to us rant and bring up our points of view on this thing we feel so strongly about. This brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for joining us for episode 6 of season 2. It was just us today, but we had a lot of fun. As always, make sure that you are following us on all of our socials. You can find these in our on our link tree in our description, no matter what form of media you're on.
Just as a quick reminder, these are just our personal opinions. If you like the episode, please like, and if you are listening, either give us a follow, or if you're on different platforms, please interact with us. We love interacting with the audience, and we love reacting to comments. So we hope that you guys have enjoyed it. And this has been Eternal Mooncast with Michi and
Sleep. Good night, guys. Have a good Moonie night.